Don't forget, 20x entries are allowed to enter to win this beautiful first income, as it comes with $5,000 in cash. Hit the link down below in the description. Maybe I've got a bonus down there for you guys as well, and good luck. We are back, and as you heard in the last video that we had filmed with my wife in her truck, she has decided to sell her truck. So we're gonna get on to the journey of cleaning it, driving it, testing a few things on it, you know, fixing just all the last minute things on it that it still needs, like the transmission fluid leak. It's a really, like it looks bad, but that's like a super slow drip over like 6 months. It's like 1/4 of a quart of fluid, maybe. I mean, it's really not that much, which I don't know if that's a pan, like a transmission pan gasket, maybe that's gone bad, or what it is, but we'll try to address that here too. Not in today's video, but at some point. And then we're also today hopefully going to be addressing the center console sub box that we had installed over a year ago now, but it still kind of slides back and forth. I didn't fasten it in place because I originally wanted to put it in there, have my wife kind of tell me where she wanted it, and then fasten it down. And I realized, obviously, after all this time, I never fastened it in place, so it's not actually fastened down. So we're gonna pull the truck out, you know, do a first drive in like 6 months, do a full wash, you know, clean the interior, vacuum it out, all this stuff. Get the truck like basically completely detailed so we can see what we're working with here, and then start to just little by little fix some of the small stuff that it just needs. Some of they're just minor annoying things, like a slow transmission fluid leak. It's done that literally since she got the truck, but I just would like to get that addressed. And then the mirror toggle switch needing replaced because it doesn't let you adjust the passenger mirror, stuff like that. So let's get things started up, pull it out, get to a full detail and first drive in 5 or 6 months. Looky here. This fluid is coming from a brake line on the other side of the frame there. We didn't even make it out of the driveway. Usually when I pull a truck out of the garage or barn that I have not driven in a long time, this being one that has not been driven in a very, very long time, which is why my wife's wanting to sell it. I pull out, no lights on the dash, and I get like halfway up to the house and I tell Ty, I'm like, huh, ABS light just came on and a brake light just came on. It's interesting. So I hop out, brakes felt a little bit spongy. Look around the truck, I'm like, I'm just gonna look all around the whole truck. Maybe it's just a sensor's gone weak since it hasn't been moved in so long. And I get out of the truck, look around it, and then I see freaking brake fluid all over inside the frame there dripping out. Then I get on the back side and look up, and it's right at the back of the fuel tank, right where the brake line comes into that little like junction piece there, I guess, for like a few brake line, like a couple brake lines come together. The line going from that little piece at the back of the fuel tank right next to there, going from there all the way up in like 2 different spots. It's just rusted through and busted. So we're not going to be taking it down the road today because I don't really feel like losing my rear brakes and then having an issue and then running out of brake fluid and not being able to stop it all. So we're going to have to get a brake line, replace that. And guys, that's one of the reasons why she's even wanting to get rid of this truck. Not because of stuff like that, but because it sits so long that that kind of stuff happens. Like this thing's, I mean, obviously brake lines at some point, they get old, they need replaced. When you let trucks sit, now this is like one of the first times that anything's kind of like happened right after letting it sit for a long time. But she used to pretty much daily drive this truck. And then once we started letting it sit, it's just one of those things where you just kind of know the longer a vehicle sits, it's just not good for it. So far, it's been about 2 years now where in the winter months, it pretty much sits. Like it pretty much doesn't get driven because she's had the option of driving a different vehicle because I've had the ability to get her a different personal vehicle so that she doesn't have to drive her truck all the time because she didn't want to be driving in the winter. Rightfully so. It's not good for them really in terms of salt and stuff, but it's just not good for the truck. It sits and things just start to go bad on them when they sit too long. So My goal is going to be to, you know, replace that brake line and just kind of replace and fix any of the small, they're just small little annoying things from, you know, just not being buttoned up over the years. Kind of getting them all buttoned up and squared away. Now we're going to get to washing this thing, even though the brake line kind of held us back from being able to go down the road. We're still going to wash this thing as best we can. Video with music on the outside of the truck because it is brutally windy out and you're not going to hear me talk anyway. So let's get this thing completely washed up, detailed, get it back in the barn, and then we can bolt down the sub box because right now, as you can see, it's not bolted in place. So take time.
There's too much that's going on, I don't know what to do. Paralyzed by options in this world, can't pick and choose. Yeah, everybody's life is on display, including you. Yeah, I feel every day is just the same, stuck in a loop. I need some variety, I'm sick of this anxiety, I'm sick of this society. They make us feel a rivalry, compare ourselves to others, but we all got different mothers. We were raised in different structures, so we're different, it's no wonder, yeah. I just want a great life, something where I feel like I just didn't waste time, something I look back and say that was a great time.
So we were going to do more wash, detail, vacuuming and stuff like that. We got some, but it's so freaking windy around here, and it has been like unbelievably windy most of this winter. I'm like trying to wash the truck. Doesn't matter which angle I get at, water's just like blasting me in the face because it's just like the wind's just whipping every freaking direction 40 miles an hour. And so I'm like, you know what? Screw this freaking idea. We're not doing this right now. This is dumb. We're gonna go back into the barn and try to do the center console. So sub box is in right now. I got the seat slid back as far as it'll go on this side, but if you kind of have it in the middle to where technically you could have somebody sit in the front on each side and still use your back seat, you can see where the sub box sits right there. So it sits pretty flush with the back of the seats, pretty flush with the fronts. You can let them see the front, where how far it sticks out. And it comes right up to the four-wheel drive shifter, if you can see that over there. So it stops right there. So it's pretty flush fit front to back. And I totally forgot to record a couple steps. So we've got some small, they're basically like mini lags with washers on them. And then we pre-drilled the holes on the base of the box. So I marked where the holes were to hold down the original center console box, like the flip-up seat, I mean, and marked it with a pen, flipped it up, pre-drilled out our holes. Now we're just fastening them in place, and then this thing's not gonna be able to move. So that's one of the steps that we were gonna do. But unfortunately, I can't do the first drive down the road in 6 months because since it sat for 6 months, one of the brake lines decided to go. That's gonna have to be in the video once we fix the brake line. So we're gonna get the fastening down just a little bit more, and then I'll kind of show you once it's finalized and in place. Ty went to take his lunch here real quick, and then when he gets back, we've got another little project we're gonna be working on. But let me show you the sub box now. So this thing, show you from the back side, just in case you didn't see it real well, it sits perfectly just within the backs of the seats there for that. And then this is the wiring. It's unhooked right now. But it works, it sounds great. So there's the back seat there, still leg room. You could technically still sit 3 people across the back. You still have your front seat with your room. The sub box comes right up to the base of the four-wheel drive shifter right there. So it's not in the way of anything. Let me try to get this camera to refocus. And this thing is freaking solid now. So it's bolted in place, it's not moving anywhere. And I think it's really in like the perfect spot. And you wouldn't want it any more forward or any more back. It makes a nice flat surface up top here. And my original design was gonna be to put cup holders right here, but you know, that didn't work. But this thing can still flip down totally fine. You can still use your cup holders or just flap it up out of the way if you don't need them. Pretty sick, but that's gonna be where that stays for now. And I didn't give you guys a good look at how clean we got it because it was just so brutally windy. We're just trying to get out of the wind. But it did clean up pretty nice. It's just, I mean, it's just sitting in the barn. It was already clean when we parked it in here, but it just got real dusty from sitting for 4, 5, 6 months, however long it's been. So we had that all done. And then my little project out back here, I have not showed you guys yet. Remember in the last video I said I was gonna try to organize this? Well, as you can see, I got it all organized and cleaned up. And all of this junk that was piled up here, you can see the burn pit with all the scrap wood that was just, it was literally just scraps and crap just piled on top. Bunch of tin and junk and all the metal that was there too. we're actually able to stack all of those panels for the barn, the extra panels and extra gutters and all the posts. We were able to take those apart. Those are all saved indoors, out of the weather, up on the top shelf here. And then this is just kind of, you know, for scrap pieces that sometimes I still use them for a little, you know, scabbing if I need it to use, or if I need just small pieces, or if I want to just use it to burn or whatever. This is all still here and that. But yeah, all that junk being cleaned up is just beautiful. I'm trying to get out of the wind here, guys. Sorry, the audio is probably going to be so bad in some of this. I'm trying not to, but it is just unbelievably windy. But for the most part, I'm going to leave this kind of in this location, the log splitter, maybe tarp it up just in case rain or anything tries to blow in here. But dominantly, the wind's always blowing that direction, and this area usually always stays dry. We got this set up here, and I'm just going to use this as my wood splitting station. So I've got wood here, wagon there, so I can split it, toss it in the wagon to get it out of the way. And then I've got 2 posts that I added into place, and they're actually fastened to the 2x6 up top there. So it's screwed into the post there, 2 screws on each side of that 4x4 post on each side there as well of that 2x8. And then I also drove a 3-foot section of 2x4 treated. I kind of took my chainsaw and I cut a point on it and I drove it into the ground there right against the slab, and probably a little over 2 feet of that is pounded into the ground. Then I fastened the post to that, and it's all leveled and squared off as well. And I did that for both those posts, and you can see they're flush. And I did that as additional support for the lean-to, but really it's just so that when I stack this wood up here, I have something for the logs to kind of stay leaned up against the wall in those posts. That way nothing, you know, rolls down or collapses or anything. That's kind of the operating system here currently. And then if I don't end up leaving this as a wood cutting station, or when I'm done, I can always move the splitter over a little bit, get it out of the way. But that's kind of what this is going to be used for as of now, because really it was useless space anyways, because it was just kind of like I just had, you know, junk cluttered on the ground there and taking up space that didn't need to take up. So I just got rid of all this stuff. Well, we're going to get the old unit here started up and split all this, stack it. It doesn't look like much, but I bet you this will pretty much fill the rest of that row. Let's get to it. We got to have the Marshman. Give it to me right here. Bam. A little more. You give him a little more aggressive. A little more aggressive. A little more aggressive. Come on, smack it hard. Yeah. Okay, so he's gonna help us, and we're gonna split and stack some wood. Let's get to it.
In the east, that's by the wayside. I'm so lost inside, and I need a little time to find who I am in this life. I will find a way to feel alive. I'm so lost inside, and I need a little time to find.
Yeah, don't get you guys over there playing in the dirt like that. Well, we just got all of that cherry I had set here. A couple pieces of oak, but mostly cherry. Got it all split and stacked. Pretty slick. We were just talking about the system we have here. It's like I can have the logs stacked here, split them. I push them over into the wagon instead of just chucking them on the ground. Then you don't have to do any bending over. And then he's able to just grab them and stack them. And we've got a pretty good start on next year's stuff. I don't think we need maybe one more row deep, because we don't have like an outdoor wood burner and just absolutely need unbelievable amounts of wood. I mean, these 3 rows, if they're all 3 filled, we're almost done with the second row, and I know where to get all the rest of the wood. We got enough cherry down for probably 4 or 5 years just with the cherry that's down back there, and it's gonna be pretty slick. We should actually go back there right now. I actually want to show you what all they're all not. Yeah, it's cool.
This is nothing better than cherry.
Dude, it splits so nice, stacks nice.
It burns the best, nice crackle to it.
Oh, dude, it's nice. So this is the progress on the woodshed. Hopefully you guys like the way it cleaned up. In the previous video, it was all just like, remember the wiring and the sheet metal and all the crap just piled everywhere? I did all this off camera right afterwards because I was like so annoyed at how dirty it looked. And then I told them that we got all this cleared out. All this junk is gone and organized in there on a shelf. So yeah, let's go check out the rest of that cherry that's back there, and then we're gonna put a wrap on it. But here's some of that cherry I was telling you about. There's another big cherry tree down here. Well, big as in it's a tall one, but it's not circumference is not huge, but there's that there. There's some big limbs here. There's the rest of this one. This is what we've been cutting. The windstorm blew the top off and this whole trunk is just massive. It's all gotta go. So I'm gonna knock this down and start splitting this. We got another section of it there. Just a lot of cherry down back here. So we're gonna, until we can clean most of it up off of my property, we're just gonna keep dragging sections of it out, cutting it up, splitting it. Whew, pretty excited about that. And I know not everybody's interested in firewood, but if you're anything like me, every once in a while, you just gotta go through a little firewood kick and just cut and split a ton of stuff.